Welcome, everyone, to Season 3, Episode 20 of the Hall of Fame show. And hey, if my background looks different, it's because I'm not in a hotel anymore. I am now officially in the new home. The Buchnerverse has a central point. It is high atop the mountaintop, although there's no mountains here in Manitoba, but of the mountaintop that overlooks the land where the Winnipeg Jets play. So I wore a Quebec Nordiques jersey instead.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well,
I was going to say you've moved from a hotel to a motel.
Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
So I've got a few site updates that I just want to talk about before we move on. Hopefully by next week, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the not Hall of Fame rock section will be updated. There's not going to be anyone new in the top 50. So this is I don't know if this is a first. I think it is. But there's no clear-cut first ballot or second ballot one. There might be, but it isn't that clear-cut. I think we'll talk about that more next week if that's there. So look for that soon. And I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who participated. It's now up on the YouTube channel. There's the senior class. We put together a group, and Evan put in his votes. He wasn't able to make it, unfortunately.
Yes, I unfortunately was at an event in Houston, so I could not get out of. So,
although I did have a Houston person there.
Oh, cool! About time.
Well, it's Longhorn Dave.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Not necessarily a Houston Texans fan. Well, I suppose he is, but does anyone actually admit to that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, these days. So anyway, we put together a group, and we did a Zoom call, and we came up with the three people who we think should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, our three top seniors. So just check that out, and it's all transparent how we got there. And if you're someone who wants to be a part of that in the future, and you think you'll bring a fresh take, we want you. We want you to be a part of that, especially if you're in an NFL region that we're not representing right now. Even though we had two really big Broncos fans, and yes, we pushed for Randy Gradishar, I don't think that's really an issue outside of Denver. We had big pushes for Sterling Sharp from Jack Silverstein, who's in Chicago. Mm-hmm. You know, so like there's a lot that we can really sort of have fun with. Also, I've learned that anyone I push for, I'm never going to get what I want. I just put people together. I'm just not very persuasive.
Yeah, I wish I had been there for Gino Cappelletti. So I don't think he would have gotten in, but I think he could have gotten
Gino did not make her top 15 to discuss.
I know he did. So he was the person I put 2 votes in for. So
yes, well, it's strategic voting.
Yeah, could be.
You know, that's what it was. I mean, like there were some people who I know because they told me that's sort of why they did that, because they wanted to make sure that their person was discussed, or they figured what's the point of necessarily giving that to, let's say, a Gradishar, who we know was going to get to that top 15 anyway. But anyway, to all of you who participated, all of you who watched that and enjoy it, guys, thank you.
100%.
And
sorry I wasn't there, but I watched part of it at this point. I haven't been able to watch all of it yet, but seemed like a very good conversation.
Yeah, and actually too, finally I figured out here on the Zoom. So I wish I was in the middle so I could do the Brady Bunch thing.
You definitely seem like an Alice.
You know, funny you bring that up. Actually, in a school, and we had to do some kind of in drama in 7th grade. They put us all together, and then we had to come up with their own skit.
Okay.
And I played Malice.
Okay.
The Groovy Bunch.
Wow. Funny, I was at camp once, and we had to do a sketch where we were playing the characters from Cheers, and I was Carla. So,
you know, there's a joke there for both of us.
Yeah. And then the next year in camp, we had to do another sketch, and I was Tubbs. So.
Rocket Tubbs?
Yes. From Miami Vice. So my acting career includes stints as Carla and Tubbs. So, you know, two people very, very mumuch alike, to me, it's particularly. So,
well, hey, you know, both on NBC.
I guess that's true.
You know, I'm sure they went to the same network parties and whatnot.
Probably true. There's probably some picture of them at like 40 years old. Be like, how many of these actors do you remember?
maybe what's some of those lame sites that can do all that? Actually, speaking of lame sites, that's where I'm going to start the smorgasbord of shit. And what is that?
Okay.
It's where Kirk just says whatever the hell he wants on a topic that might bother him, or he really or isn't bothering him. He just wants to bring it up. I brought this up last year, Evan, and I'm going to do it one more time, but I'm never going to bring this up again.
Okay.
Because when this happens next year, and it will, because at least now I think I figured out why this is happening.
Okay.
All right. It's the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Okay.
And sure enough, so there's some people who, let's just say, might have a little bit more right-wing values, aren't necessarily thrilled with the choices that were on it. Now, there's 4, apparently. And I say apparently because, like, who's buying this? Nobody? Okay. But anyway, where this sort of like got into a little Twitter thing, I don't know if you noticed that, where, so you have 4 people who would be on that: Kim Kardashian, Ciara,
Okay.
Elon Musk's mom,
Okay.
and I'm not sure what she is, Yumi Nu.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yumi is a larger girl. I think attractive, but I like curvy Asians. Hey, I married one. But so you have there was a lot of people saying that pass, like, this is just wrong. Da 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 da. Again, and I thought, well, why do you care? You're not buying it anyway. And then I thought you could actually unite with all the people defending it because they're not buying it either.
Right.
So I was doing some research, as I'm sometimes prone to do. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, but they say that this is actually profitable in its own bubble. I don't know how, but I think it's just off the name, because you're not making money selling a magazine. You've got the Instagram on it, which apparently has got over 2 million people who are following this. And I couldn't figure this out. Like, how do they pivot so far? But then you look at the comments and who this all is. It's predominantly all women. Now, I didn't click on the picture to see what type of women they are, but maybe we could say women who sort of like seeing what they look like represented. I don't know. Don't really care. But I was fascinated because if you would have told you and I in the mid-90s, oh, by the way, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, it's going to be predominantly just for virtue signaling women, you wouldn't have believed it. You wouldn't have believed it in 2010. But that's who has it now. So I say this to the right, because again, your country's so divided. To the right.
Very much is divided.
Yes, it is. And as someone just smack dab in the middle who just loves your sports, man. I just love American sports. Might be why Evan and I will promote something later, because we're really proud of what we put together. Just let them have this. Let them have it. You're not going to buy it anyway, and they're not buying it anyway either. Who gives a shit? I got extra animated because I know you like it sometimes when I get more animated.
Sure, go ahead.
So that was a little bit performance art. That's, you can see why I was great as Malice. Now, I'll hand it to Sports Illustrated for even still apparently being semi-profitable, because apparently they still are. I don't know how.
Their website is the single worst website on the internet.
I forgot to put this out there, and I should have. It would have just been a general question, and I wanted to relay this for this topic, which would be, when you're looking at the sports, what's your first go-to if it's national?
For me?
Well, to anyone. I mean, like, for me, it's ESPN.
Oh, what website? Yeah, for most people, it's ESPN, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I would say that even Sports Illustrated, because again, we have weird tangents. Barstool's probably passed it in some capacity.
I mean, I'd imagine the second place I go is The Ringer for sports stuff. And then I bet that there's a whole bunch of people, if you subscribe, go to The Athletic.
Right. Right.
So I mean, it's probably right. Even further down. And that's not including Yahoo Sports, CBS Sports, or all of those other places where people go which are often attached to their fantasy teams.
this is something that's famous in name only.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know why anyone gives a shit. I do know this. I will not bring this up next year. That is my promise. That's 2 years in a row I talked about this. And again, because I just don't understand why people care one way or the other this strong, whether you're so happy with who's on the cover or whether you're not. Why do you care? That's it.
Fair enough.
Now we've got a couple actual legit Hall of Fame news to talk about. And this is, I'm trying to protect your voice, but you're going to have to do, this is where you're going to have to do quite a bit here. That and the people who died. But I'll just be more vibrant on that section.
Yeah, I apologize for everybody with the coughing. I had a sore throat heading to Houston. By the way, I have tested for COVID every day for the last 9 days, and I do not have it. But whatever it is, I can't stop coughing. So this is why we're delayed a couple days in the day of filming this. So
all good. So I think what I've really, it's Vince Wilfork. You called this a million times that he was going to be the person voted into the New England Patriots Hall of Fame. And you said it wouldn't be close. Now, we don't know whether it was close or not, but it probably wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, Mankins probably finished second, Vrabel third, just because Vrabel is a coach of another team right now. Not because anyone dislikes Vrabel, but like Wilfork is one of the linchpins of the Patriots dynasty. So there's no dynasty without Wilfork on the defense.
Sixth person to be inducted in the first year of eligibility for the Patriots Hall. And, you know, Evan's a big Patriots fan. I'm a Saints fan, but we're Hall of Fame fans also. And the Patriots Hall of Fame, and we've said it so many times, has done, I don't know, the best job in all of the big four of sports, but they're in the top five.
It's up there. I mean, they do a great job. Cardinals, we always talk about the St. Louis Cardinals.
Right.
But St. Louis baseball Cardinals.
They were later to the party.
Yeah, but they do a really good job as well.
Yeah. Also, the problem when you do this stuff, you get an appearance from Jasper the Friendly Corgi. You can follow him on Instagram, Jasper _ the Friendly Corgi. So Vince is obviously someone who we're both happy about. Does this do anything more for his Pro Football Hall of Fame candidacy? I would think not a whole hell of a lot, because it's the same people voting next year.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt his candidacy.
Right.
I think that I'm trying to remember. He did not make the top 25 last year, correct? He did.
He was a semifinalist.
He was a semifinalist. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember off the top of my head. So if he was a semifinalist, I mean, it moves him up a little bit on the list, probably. He's still got. I mean, last year was his first year of eligibility for the Hall, anyway. He's got some sledding he needs. Getting Seymour out of the way helps, even though they didn't play the same position. They were on the defensive line, both of them. Getting DeMarcus Ware out of the way will help, which I'm presuming is going to happen this year. And then it comes down to what the other defensive line candidates are going forward. And there's another obvious one, unless because Brian Young's also out of the way. So, I mean, I know.
Someone we never pegged as a blocker for that, huh?
I know. But, I mean, there are others. Simeon Rice is still floating around out there. Julius Peppers is going to be here shortly. So there are a few more. There aren't really many particular nose tackles he's up against. It's kind of an unglamorous position.
Right.
So it certainly doesn't hurt. If he's already semifinalist, that might help a little bit. But I honestly think Wilfork and Mankins are the next two Patriots sort of in the rotation here to maybe get in. Mm-hmm. Vinatieri, I guess, would be after that, and then I guess Gronk or Brady if they ever retire.
There's a group chat. Somebody it was actually Ron, our super Broncos fan, Ron Katz, just another phenomenal guy. I wish you were on that chat, mostly just so you could see some of these other people who you have to talk to. And so somebody, I don't think it was actually from our group, who just said, who's the best athlete over 50? He says, I'm just going to be preemptive and say it's going to be Brady.
Yeah, there are a lot of those. I saw on the internet. Multiple people just took a picture of John Daly at the Open. So,
but right now, Who would have thought John Daly is a better golfer than Tiger Woods?
Today, yeah. Well, Woods had to step out today, so yeah.
Yeah, well, and Woods is hurt. I mean, obviously, and that's not gonna.
Will he ever be the same? I don't know.
No,
but yeah, probably not.
He'll never be the same. It's unfortunate that record. I think we all thought Nicklaus's records was going to be of the most majors was going to be toast by 30.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case.
And then it was not.
And what Tiger did in terms of influence and getting a lot of other people to play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether history is going to say that he was the greatest golfer of all time. I still think he very well might be, but he's definitely the most important, scandals aside, in my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, that he's at least in the conversation. I can't tell you in particular what the state of the sport was when Palmer and Nicklaus really took the sports world by storm. I don't know what the follow through line is from like the Sam Snead era out to them. So it's possible if it was down at some point they rejuvenated it, but other than that, it's Woods. So,
well, everyone paid to see him.
Yeah, 100%. He was the sport.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Very few people you could say that about.
And one other Hall of Fame related note from last week, UFC has announced that Daniel Cormier is going to be the newest member to their Hall of Fame. I know you're not too big in MMA, but Cormier would probably have been someone you like. You know, he former heavyweight champion, former light heavyweight champion, second man to hold both titles at the same time. Never could beat John Bones Jones, who, well, let's just say John had usually a little bit of chemical help. And if you look at Cormier, he certainly did not.
Fair enough.
But Cormier was that every man just, at age 30, he looked like he could have played Uncle Phil. It's just built older, but just your friendly ass kicker. And one of my favorites of all time. And before we get into the other stuff, I'm just really happy. You always love talking about women's sports. The next MMA or UFC headline in Dallas is going to be headlined by my girl, Amanda Nunes, going back she's taking back her title.
Cool.
So I just think that's really, really cool. And that's going to sell out I forget the name of the arena where the Mavs play, but it'll sell out, and it's going to sell out with these two women on top.
Cool.
And that's pretty damn cool.
Excellent.
Yeah. So with that, we move on to the people we lost, which because we added a couple of days, I guess you got a lot more to.
There actually haven't been too many in the last couple of days, fortunately. We do have a victim of the Beige Mistress, Albin Molnar, who competed in the 1960 Summer Olympics in the Flying Dutchman event in sailing, passed away at the age of 86.
Well, that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Flying Dutchman, of course, is a place from
the Simpsons.
SpongeBob. Oh no, the Simpsons. You're right. Correct. Yeah. So, anyway, from the world of basketball, one of the few people who have had to add to the list the last couple of days, Yuri Zedek Sr., who is the greatest player in the history of Czechoslovakia, passed away at the age of 78. All-time leading Czech league scorer, best Czechoslovak player of the 20th century, as voted in 2001. Two-time Czechoslovak player of the year, 10-time league all-star, 6-time league champion, 2-time FIBA European selection. Basically, anything you can do behind the Iron Curtain for Czechoslovakia in basketball, he did. He's a member of the FIBA Hall of Fame. He's inducted in 2019. He and his son, actually, Yuri George Zedek Jr., won the EuroLeague title with Zalgiris in 1999. So the only players who have made the EuroLeague title game, father and son duo, which is pretty impressive because in 1999 he was 55 years old. So, Yuri Zedek was 78. Also from the world of basketball, Walter Hirsch passed away. He was a member of the 48, 49, and 51 Kentucky Wildcat champion teams. Also, the central figure of the point shaving scandal that took over college basketball in the 1950s. I don't know if you remember that whole thing.
Read about it.
Yeah. So he was 92 when he passed away from a brief unspecified illness. Make sure here. I just want to make sure I don't have any other basketball guys I have out of order. So give me one second. Yes, there he is. Also, Sam Smith passed away. Member of the ABA champion 1971 Utah Stars. Passed away at the age of 79. Played for the Minnesota Muskies, which is one of the great names of all time. Do you know what a muskie is?
It's a fish.
It is a fish. It is a scary-ass fish. It's probably the scariest fish that lives in the northern waters of the Great Lakes, the whole Great Lake region. Also played for Kentucky Colonels. What?
Look around where I live.
That's true. Yeah. By the way, if you catch one of those things, they give you a pin. You can prove you caught a muskie. They give you a pin for your hat.
Really?
They do.
I just want to try ice fishing. I figure that's considered a sport where I could just sit down and do nothing. I'm down.
I actually have somebody from one of those sports coming up here in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, so he passed away at the age of 79. From the world of football, Calvin McGee, who played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 3 years as a tight end, but is a very well-known coach throughout college football, passed away suddenly at the age of 59 after a heart attack. He was currently serving as the University of Jacksonville State offensive coordinator and associated head coach. From the world of baseball, David West passed away. Pitched with the Mets, Twins, Phillies, and Red Sox from 88 to 98. Also played 1 year in Japan. Member of the 91 Twins that won the World Series. Passed away at only the age of 57. He died of brain cancer. He's actually becomes the 6th former Phillies player since 2003 to die of brain cancer. So Ken Brett, Tug McGraw, Johnny Oates, John Vukovich, and Darren Dalton being the others.
What's in that stadium?
It's a very good question. But he was 57.
God, what do you feel like in 10 years? It's all going to be people who used to play for Oakland.
Probably. It's amazing there have been more of them now already. Most of the other folks here are from the world of music. Let's start with Bernard Wright, American funk and jazz keyboardist. Passed away at the age of 58 in a car accident. Was one of those guys who's in the background of a lot of rap and hip hop albums. So Dre, Snoop Dogg, Skee-Lo, LL Cool J, Dougie Fresh, Cameo, Bobby Brown, folks like that. He's 58 years old. We also lost American folk singer Bob Newirth, very well-known banjo player mostly. Passed away at the age of 82. Had heart failure prior to his death. But again, another one of those people. Played with Janis Joplin, co-wrote the song Mercedes-Benz, and also wrote helped Christopherson. He was the one who introduced Christopherson, Janis Joplin. Christopherson, after meeting him, gave Joplin Me and Bobby McGee, which Newirth played for her. And then she took over and had her biggest hit after she passed away. So,
do you think she had another good album in her?
Who knows? It's so hard to know. I mean, with the amount of drugs going on, it's amazing any of them even were able to get on and off stage. So
that's very true.
I forgot somebody. We'll get back to him. Rick Price. English bassist for The Move and Wizard, among others, passed away at the age of 77. Yeah, do you remember Wizard?
Oh,
With two Z's?
Wizard has one of my guilty pleasure Christmas songs.
Okay.
I wish it would be Christmas, or could be Christmas every day. And there's a video for it. It's very 70s, very glam rock, very, very dated, very awesome.
There you go. Yeah, I wish it could be Christmas every day. Been played during every Christmas season in the UK since its release in 1973. So there you go. But their bass player, Rick Price, passed away at the age of 77. Also, Ben Moore, who played Bobby Purify II from the James and Bobby Purify from the song I'm Your Puppet. Remember that song?
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Which was a hit number 6 on the Billboard Hit Music Chart in 1966, and Let Love Come Between Us in 67. So the original Bobby Purify, whose name was Robert Lee Dickey, left and was replaced by the second Bobby Purify, Ben Moore, who was the one who passed away. Just replace him, nobody will notice.
They do that in pro wrestling all the time. Kamala briefly teamed with Kamala too. I guess he wasn't replaced yet. Only the guy he teamed up with was he would later go on to be Uncle Elmer.
Uncle Elmer.
Yeah.
I don't
Needless to say that Uncle Elmer is a 450-pound white guy, didn't necessarily look like a Kamala. But anyway.
Anyway, the biggest, I'm going to get back to the last music guy because there's somebody I did forget here. Bob Schiaffoni, who's the guy who played the sport you could sit down for. American poker player who wrote Robert's Rules of Poker. Passed away at the age of 81. I never won a bracelet in the World Series of poker, but was also a life master in the Contract Bridge League and the U.S. Chess Federation.
The Poker Hall of Fame does something that others can learn from. They've got their time frame. Okay, here's our finalists. Here's our 10 finalists, and then 2 weeks later, the 3. Here's your 3 inductees.
Yeah,
at the same time every year. They're like clockwork, like almost like the Toy Hall of Fame that we like a lot.
Yeah, if Toy Hall of Fame, if you're listening, excuse me. Sorry, guys. Please send me a list of all the toys you've ever nominated because it annoys me when my spreadsheets are incorrect, as we found out from last week. So I've asked multiple times. They said, yeah, we'll get back to you. They've never gotten back to me.
Really?
Yep. Same guy. So not calling him out by name, but please just send me the list of all your nominees. That's all I'm looking for. All right. So we had 2 other people, big name, who passed away. The first one from music, Vangelis passed away. Evangelos Odysseus Papathanasiou passed away at the age of 79. Probably best known for the theme from Chariots of Fire. Right. He also did Blade Runner, Missing, The Bounty, 1492, Conquest of Paradise, and Alexander, among others. But yeah, Vangelis, probably one of the biggest names in new age music, I would say.
Huge. Went number 1 with that song. And not just that. I mean, like when I was younger, I mean, that was all I ever heard. I didn't really care for it. I still don't. Dun, 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 dun. I know it's iconic, but it just doesn't move me, let's say, to get up and run.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to move you very slowly to run.
That's also true. Dun, 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 dun.
Let's keep making jokes about movies from 1981, but continue. That'll keep the audience.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe we have a lot of people who remember Chariots of Fire.
Probably true. I mean, it was Oscar nominated for Best Picture, so.
And did win for Best Song. I'm pretty sure
it did win for Best Song.
Yeah. No, actually, he's a far more important figure in music than just that one song.
Right.
And, I'm glad I sort of took some time years ago to explore more of his music, and I encourage other people to do the same.
Yeah. So one of the forefathers of ambient music was active. He actually released his last album at the end of last year, but passed away from heart failure in Paris at the age of 79. And lastly, a sports writer, Roger Angel, or Angel. I never knew how to pronounce his name. Passed away at the age of 101. More a cerebral essayist than anything else. Wrote a lot about baseball, mostly for the New Yorker and other things along those lines. Was his stepfather, by the way, is E.B. White, who wrote Charlotte's Web. But yeah, he there was a lot of outpouring from a lot of writers when he passed away yesterday, actually, at the age of 101 from congestive heart failure.
The stories he would have. That'd be like one of those guys where if you can put a short list of people you just want to have, I don't know, like a scotch with.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's top 100 for sure.
Yep. So he has the ESPN Lifetime Achievement Award for literary sports writing, a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, a member of the Council of the Authors Guild. He member of the Baseball Reliquary Shrine of Eternals, and of course won the Taylor Spink Award back in 2013 for guy was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So other than that, he wasn't that good at writing.
Oh yeah, he didn't do much. Didn't accomplish much.
So
all right. So thanks for that. We've got now 2 more sections to go. It's elevator up, ding, elevator down. And that's the way it's as self-explanatory as it sounds. If you haven't heard this, I just look at some people who over the past week, did their Hall of Fame chances improve or did it not? And we're really knee deep in the hockey and basketball playoffs. And I'm just going to hold off for a few things in those, for I shouldn't say in those sports, because just in what's going on now. Last week, because we are going to talk about basketball, I've got one major elevator down, and I've talked about him many times.
Yeah, he's a yo-yo up and down.
He has been for me for a while, and that's Rajon Rondo. I just want to go back, and I apologize because Evan, you've heard all this before. So I've always believed that Rondo didn't get enough credit for the 2008 win, and maybe a little bit too much credit in later years. Oh, but playoff Rondo is going to show up. Playoff Rondo hasn't been a thing for a long, long time. And Rondo started this year off with the Lakers, and which was definitely the move where I was convinced LeBron James should never be an executive again or at all. Because that made no sense whatsoever. Rondo, he hasn't been really useful in a long time. Love watching when he was at his peak, don't get me wrong. But for those who haven't heard, Rondo got accused of domestic violence. And this one they're all troubling. But this one also involved his children, and I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't like talking about this sort of thing, but let's just say a gun was involved and he's doing that in front of his own kids. It's a move that will pretty much cost him, I think, getting another NBA gig. I don't, whether it does or doesn't, I don't know. It probably should. Because frankly, I don't see any other team wanting to touch this guy at this point. And he has been a bubble guy for me for a long, long time. He's not going to be able to add to this, even if he could add. I don't think he's got anything to add, but now he's got this stink on him. And this is a hell of a lot worse than the Adrian Peterson issue.
Yes.
Way worse. I don't see him. I think this could cost him the Hall. I honestly do.
I think he was borderline anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's no team that's ever going to retire Rondo's jersey. We talked about Wilfork getting in the Hall of Fame, but the Celtics aren't going to retire his jersey. No, neither is anybody else.
Right. So and this is something that, and to the credit of the leagues, domestic violence is something that was ignored for, let's just say, over a century. With sports and whatnot. And
well, most things were ignored, honestly.
That's true too. That's very true. But right now they have a zero tolerance for this sort of thing. So I just don't see him getting another job in the National Basketball Association as anything. Not as a consultant, not as an executive, not as a commentator. He's done. He is done. And this isn't something that he can redeem himself like Tim Hardaway did with bad words. I'm not minimalizing that either, but that was something that you can pay some penance for. There's clearly anger issues in Rondo.
Yeah.
To do that. I didn't read anything that there was even alcohol involved. This is just him snapping. So, I don't know. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head here. I think he was borderline as it was anyway. He was, excuse me, that Celtics team in 2008 already has 3 first ballot Hall of Famers on it. It's unlikely that there is going to be a 4th coming out of there. So I don't think that Rondo was getting in anyway, but I think you're right. This is entirely it. There's no chance.
Yeah. And it's a shame. Well, with that, we'll just move on to the hammer. We'll get there right now. The good, the bad, and the ugly of sports that Evan brings us every week. And I always have to punctuate with spaghetti Western. They're getting better every week.
It's amazing. You've been toning up your voice, which is good because I can't even talk right now. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Let me get some water before we get going.
Well, that's your first problem. There's no alcohol in that.
Yeah, I do have something with alcohol over here, so. That's not what I'm drinking right now. I'll say
syrup from the Jamarcus Russell collection. Sorry.
So the good. I am going to bring up 2 things for the good, both one of which is happening now and one of which is happening tomorrow. The first good is just the quality of the NHL playoffs. They've been, the NBA playoffs has been fun. The NHL playoffs has been amazing. Like all the way through. The game yesterday between Edmonton and Calgary, where Edmonton ended up winning even though they had 2 goals called back, was incredible. Draisaitl thought he had a goal, and then it was called back for an early whistle, which sucked. I got it. I understand why. But he just was like, fine, and he scored less than a minute later. So they are they're just super fun, particularly that series. That series, the first 2 games, has been great.
Games, and I had a simple tweet: NHL Game 7 over NBA Game 7.
Oh, that was easy.
Prove me wrong.
I mean, the NBA Game 7s, Celtics won by 28 over the Bucks. I'm not sure the Suns even left their dressing room for their Game 7. So it wasn't even close. And that was the most Game 7s, by the way, we had in a single weekend.
I thought so.
There were 7 of them. The previous record was 5.
Okay.
They're 4 in hockey and 3 in basketball. So, but yeah, just the hockey playoffs has been fantastic. If you're not watching them, just do it.
A silly thing too that just makes me happy, and this is me just being super petty. Also, too, the round 2 didn't start before round 1 ended.
Yeah,
that sets me off every time. I don't know why, but it does.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, in the good, we're gonna go to tomorrow is the last day of EPL, and all the games start at 10 Central. All 10 games go on at the exact same time, as they're going to find out who gets promoted, who gets demoted, who wins the league, and who finishes in 4th place, which is very, very important for Champions League spots tomorrow, all at the same time.
Because this is that's not even set yet, right? That's going to be almost a first. That there's so many games that matter in the last day.
Yeah. So tomorrow, let me just pull up the Premier League standings here.
Pull up my table. It's called a table, not standings.
I know. I think that's outstanding, my friend.
I thought it was outstanding that I actually knew that.
Yeah, I'm actually impressed.
Thank you.
So tomorrow, Chelsea's basically locked up 3rd place unless Tottenham makes up a 18 goal differential on the game, which I do not think they're going to do.
So you're saying there's a chance.
But Arsenal's playing Everton, which would have been a bigger deal if Everton hadn't won earlier in the week because they were in danger up until Thursday.
You said that a month ago that you thought they were not going to be able to.
They pulled it through on Thursday. They ended up keeping themselves up. So they're one of the 6 teams that has never been demoted from the Premier League since the start of 1992, and they were in serious danger, but they saved themselves. But they're playing Arsenal, who's currently in 5th place, and their ancient rivals, Arsenal. So they play them at the same time that Tottenham is playing Norwich, who is the worst team in the Premier League. Norwich has set the record for most demotions and most promotions. They've set both records. So they've been in the league 6 times now. They've been in the league 6 years and been demoted after that time coming up every single time. So they are the worst team. So it's looking like Tottenham, unless they screw up, which Tottenham has the ability to do, that they're going to finish in 4th, which means Harry Kane will get to play Champions League soccer, which means he's probably not leaving Tottenham, which is what he wanted to do when he sat the first part of the year, because he didn't think they had a shot at playing Champions League soccer. In terms of at the top, you have Man City's got a 1-point lead over Liverpool.
Okay.
Liverpool plays Wolverhampton, who's an upper mid-table team, and Man City plays Aston Villa, who's a lower mid-table team. But both of those teams are capable of pulling a result, at least a tie, out of it. And if they tie, if Man City ties and Liverpool wins, they win the league. So
the second tier is already decided, right?
What do you mean?
So Fulham and Bournemouth, they top their table.
Correct. And then they're going through the playoffs right now,
which is the
next 3rd spot.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a 3rd spot. So the teams in the lower division, teams 3 through 6, play a home and away and a home and away. And then actually I haven't paid attention. I saw the first games. I didn't notice the second. Those may have happened today. And then whoever wins those 2 groups play a single game against each other at Wembley for promotion.
Fulham seems like, I could be wrong here, but they've got to be the team that's bounced back and forth the most, right?
No, it's Norwich, but Fulham's right behind them.
Okay.
Yeah, it is Norwich. But so those games are important. And then Leeds and Burnley are tied with 35 points, but Burnley's got a 20-goal differential lead over Leeds. And so Leeds plays Brentford and Burnley plays Newcastle, who are both, again, Brentford's 11th, Newcastle's 12th. So,
but Brentford finishing 11th, if that's where they finish, that's got. If you're a fan of that squad, that's got to be phenomenal, no?
Oh, it's amazing. They came from nowhere, made the league made the Premier League for the first time, and are sticking around with 46 points. I mean, it's possible they win, they could finish 10th, which is fantastic for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ahead of Aston Villa, they're ahead of Everton, they're ahead of Crystal Palace and Newcastle, who are all much bigger teams than they are. So
I always thought Crystal Palace for the longest time was just a casino.
Seems like it. So,
doesn't it?
Anyway, yeah.
All right. So what is bad?
So bad, I'm going to go to actually something I heard Warren Sharp talking about on Bill Simmons' podcast this week.
Okay.
So Warren Sharp, you know who Warren Sharp is?
I don't.
He's one of the big gambling guys who's on the Ringer from time to time.
Okay.
And Sharp was doing a whole thing on the NFL schedule and the secret advantages that he tracks within the schedule. And one of those advantages is rest differential. So the differential for a team between how many days of rest they have before playing versus their opponents. Make sense?
Oh yeah, totally.
So last year, the team that had the worst rest differential of anyone was the Patriots. So the Patriots had 55 fewer days of rest than their opponents coming into games, which
55.
is a lot. 55, which is a lot.
That doesn't even seem chronologically possible.
Well, they played 3 teams coming off buys.
Okay.
So there's 21 of them right now, right there, right? They also played a couple teams coming off Thursday games the week before.
Mhm.
So that was a big difference. He brought this up to the league, and the league talking about the big difference in how the teams that have more rest are way more likely to win than teams that have less rest, regardless of what the records are, right? So the team that actually is suffering the most this year is the Packers, which is interesting. But a team that is really, really screwed is actually the Commanders, who have 4 games between weeks 11 and 16, in which the other team has at least 4 more days of rest than they do. So if they're struggling at the beginning of the year, they're probably not going to make it up to the end. But the reason I bring up the bad here is, do you know what team almost always is in the top 4 least differential, or having the more rest than their opponents year after year after year?
Feels like it'd be the New York teams, although you wouldn't know it by the
Who's the most powerful owner in the NFL?
The Giants. Well, no, it's Dallas.
Yeah, Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
Dallas.
Yeah.
Since they came up with the Thursday night football game, which happened in 2006, how many road Thursday night games have the Dallas Cowboys played?
No, I don't know.
0.
0.
None. And this is the first year this year they're going to play. It was brought to their attention directly by Warren Sharp, and he published something about it. And so they actually play a road Thursday game this year for the first time. But they make up for it by having 2. They have 2 over-week differentials in games coming up right after that.
You're not implying there's favoritism in the NFL.
It's just the interesting implied favoritism. Now it's been made aware of, and Warren Sharp's stuff was really, really interesting to listen to. But regardless, excuse me, we all may be off the Commanders by the end of the year anyway. But there's a very, very good reason to bet against them coming up. Just pre-bet against them now in weeks 11, 12, 14, and 15. Or 11, 12, 14, 16, excuse me.
I should get a gambling show, because I don't do enough shows that don't have
you should
people watching.
So, but anyway, it was just really interesting that there is clear bias in these schedules. The Jets also getting screwed this year. There are a couple others as well. The Bill, who is the 3 who are the best records, best were the Cowboys, Bills, and Chiefs, I think, have the 3 best this year. That's not something that normally happens to the Bills and Chiefs. It is something that usually happens to the Cowboys. So just something to watch for. It's probably bad. It's not evil. It may have been subconscious, but
That's possible. Unlikely, but possible.
Well, because Dallas has a home Thursday night game every year automatically. Right. So we'll see how that works.
Well, it's done so much for Detroit.
Yeah, right. So, and hey, and Minnesota gets to play New England on Thanksgiving this year. So
yeah, I've always sort of looked at Detroit opening, and sorry to our friend Ted, our beloved Lions fan. I always felt that sort of like that's being your American Thanksgiving. The Lions game starting off, it's that cranberry sauce that's still in the can shape before you get to the great turkey of Dallas.
Well, that's the game that some people still may be eating. So I don't mind putting that one first.
Yeah.
So, so you're still eating the first half. You get in at halftime and you get to watch the second half, the lead into of the Cowboys play. But anyway, so that's a bad. The ugly is a story that has nothing but bad guys. And I'm actually very excited about the story because it's making me care about something I don't care about. Nick Saban.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be Nick Saban.
And Jimbo Fisher and NIL and playing players and all the bitching and moaning done by these multimillionaires who have made all their money off the free labor of their athletes for years, now crying that other people can pay athletes so they can't all go to Alabama. like, I am here for this mess because there is nobody, as far as I can tell, who has the ability to rein this in at all. They open Pandora's box. They have no real oversight to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like Jimbo Fisher, like saying that he knows all the skeletons in Saban's closet and be willing to release him. And then Saban being like, I apologize. I overstepped. Like the fact Saban apologized means that Jimbo Fisher knows some shit.
I was thinking, my first thought was, man, that's going to be really awkward when they film that next Aflac commercial with Dion and Saban.
Yeah. So this whole thing is just going to be an absolute utter mess. And
big a mess as spring football. I don't see that returning.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. It is, I am here for it. Just because I don't think Jimbo Fisher is a particularly good human being. I think he's a pretty good coach. But anyone who can, I'm actively now rooting for Texas A&M to win the national championship for two reasons. One, because screw Nick Saban, even though all his players end up with the Patriots anyway. Mm-hmm. Although not this year. We didn't draft a single Alabama product this year, which is why everyone says we had the worst draft ever. At least amongst the Boston sports writers who really, really, really hate Bill Belichick for reasons I don't understand.
And Boston sports writers have always been known as half as glass full kind of guys too.
Oh, definitely, 100%. Yeah, they treat the Patriots a kid glove. Greg Bedard makes crap up constantly and gets put on NBC. Like he had there's a bombshell report coming out about Christian Barmore last year. Guess what happened? Never came out. You know why? Because he made it up. He makes it all up all the time, and nobody calls him on it. He gets confirmed by people like Christopher Jasper, who's also terrible. Like all the people who are terrible at their jobs confirm the bullcrap reports of the other people who are terrible at their jobs. Until Mike Reese says it, it didn't happen when it comes to the Patriots.
Journalism has become, well, guess
it's a race to the bottom. It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, with a 10-way tie.
Yeah. Anyway, so regardless. So it's going to be a complete mess. I'm very excited about it. It's something that's actually making me care about college football for the first time in a while. I'm going to be actively rooting against. I want them all to lose. I want somehow Appalachian State to come up out of Division 1 AA and somehow beat everybody and get to the national championship.
They are in the top now, Appalachian State.
Oh, are they? I have no idea. Again, I don't follow college football. So.
Playing in the Sun Belt.
Oh, cool. Good to know.
All right, I knew that was going to be your ugly. Sometimes we just bounce things off each other so we don't duplicate.
Right.
So when I told Evan what I've got for elevator up down, then that's pretty much all right. You're wide open. All good. I prefer it when I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Well, sure. I was like, oh yeah, Rondo. And we didn't want to, and we just both felt we didn't want to touch on what happened between Donaldson and Tim Anderson today. So
no,
we'll leave it at that. Like the whole thing is, seems like more a misunderstanding than a racial situation. If you believe Donaldson,
could be.
But both of them are a little bit hot-headed anyway. So
yeah, I'll finish with this as we're recording this. It's Saturday night, the night of the game where this all took place. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Let's just let 24 hours sort of digest. Some other shit's going to come out. And I don't want to come out and say one person was colossally right. I have a feeling I know who I'm going to side with anyway. But at the end of the day, there's so many issues in sports and in life. I'm going to focus on some of the bigger ones, and I may not even do that because I'm a lot happier.
Let me say this. I'll end it with a palate cleanser. Did you see who caught the grand slam from Trevor Story yesterday in the Red Sox game?
I did not, but it was nice. You, as a Red Sox fan, you have to be happy because Trevor Story was utter crap.
He was not doing well. My main problem with Trevor Story, and I have nothing wrong with the man, is that we're going to sign that dude and somehow let Rafael Devers and or Xander Bogaerts walk. Xander Bogaerts is going to be the starting shortstop for the Yankees next year, and I'm going to be furious about it.
Yeah.
But because we don't have any money because we signed Trevor Story. But Story hit his first Grand Slam with the Red Sox in the first row of the seats over the Green Monster.
Oh, so who got it?
Johnny Gomes, former Red Sox left fielder. Johnny Gomes of the 2013 team.
Oh, wow.
He sometimes does broadcasts with the Red Sox, and whenever he's in town, he begs them to give him seats up there. It's the first home run ball Johnny Gomes ever caught. I'll say he caught it insofar as he missed it and trapped it with his chest and brought it down. But he was going to keep it because his first home run ball he ever caught was also Trevor Story's first Grand Slam with the Red Sox. So they came to the agreement that Johnny Gomes would sign Trevor Story's baseball that he hit his first Grand Slam with on the backside and hand it back over to him, which is very, very strange. But it's just weird. Like, the guy gets the ball, you're like, that guy looks familiar. My other thing that was funny is they were calling him Red Sox legend, Johnny Gomes. And I'm like, Johnny Gomes is a very good baseball player. He played on a championship team, but I'm not sure anyone I know is going to regale their children and grandchildren with the stories of their watching Johnny Gomes play baseball for the Red Sox.
Maybe not even Johnny Gomes himself.
Oh, he'll talk about it because he got a ring. He just bring it out and show that. But yeah.
I thought when you were starting this, you were going to say Johnny Damon.
Oh, no. Johnny Damon's not allowed near Fenway. It's a restraining order, I'm pretty sure.
Or through any car without a breathalyzer or whatever that device is called.
That may also be true.
That should be true. Oh, you know what? I'm going to finish with some shit here too, actually,
Okay.
that I was going to bring up. I'm just going to bring this all right down. So much for the palate cleanser. You're going to need two. So Tammy Sitch, WWE Hall of Famer, they revoked her bond. So she got off on a $225,000 bond, and the judge said, "No, you're too much of a danger to yourself and to others. We can't have it." While she was out, she was using her Twitter just to say like the most asinine things. This woman's a sociopath. Joking about, well, you know what? Because someone was saying to her, you know, like it's just. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to give the time to actually look up what she actually said, but where it's embarrassing that you even have boyfriends to do any of this other stuff. Well, maybe I'll sell a shirt that'll say, my boyfriend her boyfriend slept with Tammy. It's just, I'm not wording this very well. I'm all over the place because it's just been really bad watching this colossal, and I'll say this piece of shit who doesn't even seem to care about what she did.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, you want anything you want to plug?
I closed on a win there, didn't I?
I tried to get the palate cleanse. You dragged us right back down, man. Come on.
Well, just when you thought you were out, I pulled you back in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Take a look at some of the stuff that Evan and I have worked on. Check out the United States Athletic Hall of Fame. We're going to be announcing the first class this fall, but it's not just what we're announcing, it's what you vote on. Our votes are the exact same as yours. www.nothalloffame.com/USA. This isn't just a project of just two people. We involved Olympians, ex-football players, writers, bloggers, and regular people like Evan and I. We said when we put this together, we wanted to be the least qualified. And I think we've pretty much done that.
Yeah, we've basically succeeded at that.
Yeah. So that's something I encourage all of you to check out. There hasn't been a whole lot of new shows coming, but the ones that will, I think, will be interesting. The Powers of Matthew Starr, look for that soon, where Chris Bourdain and I look at what a flaming turd pile this was. We're gonna have you as a guest on something. I'm
telling you, you want to do. If you could find Murder in Small Town X or Man versus Beast, I am in.
How about I'm going to bring you, and then also bring in Glenn, the co-host of the Classic Sports Review, Battle of the Network Stars.
Oh, well, that was good though.
Yeah. No, what was it? Well, we'll find one where it's I don't know, maybe Adrian Barbeau.
I mean, Gabe Kaplan was the greatest unknown American athlete up until that show. He dominated those events.
Gabe Kaplan was that generation's Adam Sandler. Because you don't think, well, I'm talking about athletics. Adam Sandler,
okay.
Sandler does not look like someone who could actually do a sports film.
That
And
is true.
and you see him and he actually can. Same with Gabe Kaplan. You just don't look at this guy and think, oh, come on, this guy can play basketball. He can't play with shit. But he can.
Yeah, but it's the thing. He was good at basketball. He was good at like running hurdles. Like he was good at pretty much like every sport in that thing. Tug of war.
I know which one we should find. One with Billy Crystal. Because there's another one. Like, how the hell are you good at this?
Yeah. Good to know. Yeah, I'm telling you though, find some of the bad early reality shows, and I am 100% in.
Oh, buddy, we tried. We were trying to find. I can't believe this is not on YouTube. Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire?
Oh, really? With Evan Marriott?
Yeah. No. That's Joe Millionaire.
Joe Millionaire. I apologize.
Yeah. No, this one was with, I forget the name of the guy, but the woman was Darva Conger.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, that was so you probably saw her.
Yeah.
She became somewhat famous from that. Who was the host of that show? Jay Thomas. Speaking of Cheers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
How about do you remember the Joe Schmo show?
Yes.
That was an interesting one.
I don't have anything. I don't really have anything that bad to say about that show.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
how about Are You Hot or Not?
We did that one.
Oh, you did that one? I need to keep up with things.
Yeah, so clearly Evan doesn't watch everything in the Buchnerverse.
It's hard. There's a lot to watch, man. You're a busy man.
I don't even know what the hell I'm doing half the time, as evidenced by a lot of the shows I do.
Fair enough.
Wherever you are, wherever you may be, stay safe, everyone.
Take care, guys.